Okay, let's start that again. I said everything that I just said. Uh, I'll just say it again. Anyway, technical issue. I forgot to unmute my stream, so that's cool. Anyway, like I was saying, I just wanted to go over some tips and tricks that I wish I knew.
I can't carry
Um,
anymore.
that I also um, don't see a whole lot of tips and tricks videos about Diablo 4 mention, because I assume that usually the people that are making that already know the key bindings for this kind of stuff, so it's probably just something that they have forgotten about, that they learned when Diablo 2 came out, for instance. I don't know what it is, but there's just some things in this list that I just don't see people talking about. There are some, but a lot of them just don't get mentioned for some reason. And if they do, they're all in like one or two videos. There's one on this list that literally nobody has ever talked about. And maybe it's just because I think differently. I don't know. It took me a long time. It took a lot of people giving me tips and tricks while I was playing Diablo 4 and then watching my streams and stuff like that, to actually notice what I was doing wrong here. But I just wanted to go over some things that I wish I knew that might help people. I don't know. I don't know if anybody will even watch this video, but we'll see. Um, Let me find my notes here. Okay. Okay. So, our first tool tip, and this is just going to be my stream, my live stream, and I'll probably play some Diablo 4 for an hour after this. I don't know. It depends on how long this is going to take. I'm trying to go into I'm gonna try to go into depth on what I'm talking about here, and then hopefully I can make it into a YouTube video as well. So
I can't carry
like
anymore.
an actual edited YouTube video, but I'll also leave the VOD up. All of my streams I'm going to upload on YouTube from now on. Just the unedited raw versions of my streams on this YouTube account that I'm streaming on right now. Just because I feel like, yeah, might be helpful. I don't know. Anyway, let's start with the first one. First one is this. A lot of people don't actually know this. If you didn't know, what I'm doing right here, if you don't know what I'm doing, I'm holding down the mouse click button. Yes, you can hold down the mouse click button and go in whatever direction you want. You do not actually have to click everywhere to go. You can just free roam around like this. So a little movement trick, in case you didn't know that. If you did, well, pointless tip. Next few tips are going to be in the pause screen. You'll hit escape, and then you'll go over to options. You can also hit tab, and then go to game, and it'll take you here as well. But you'll go to options, you'll go over to gameplay, make sure that this little button right here is turned off. If that is on, your screen will shake every time you hop on a horse, do any kind of special stuff, you get stunned, stuff like that, and it's just kind of a nuisance. I usually keep it off. Just because it helps me better. I don't really like it. I don't care about it looking cooler with like the skills that I'm doing to enemies and stuff. You do a lot of skills over and over and over, and this just makes me want to commit seppuku. Anyway, the next one that I wanted to talk about is to let's see, where is it? Okay, the next one I wanted to talk about is highlight player when obscured. This right here will make it so that this little green lining, when you're behind a building or something, you'll see the outline of it. You can't really see it too much right here, but you can see the outline of your character. This also takes place when you're fighting a group or a horde of enemies and you have no idea what the fuck is going on. This will help you because you can see your player outline when obscured or behind enemies while you're fighting or behind a building, etc., etc. It just helps all around, is a good thing to have on. So make sure that that is on. Also, if you're brand new to the game, have this clicked. It will bring up little small tutorial things for you when you first start out. It's very helpful. It helped me a lot. Like I said, I'm not really into Diablo. I was never into Diablo, I should say. This is the first Diablo that I've actually been into. I have played Diablo 2 and 3, but only for like maybe collectively 5 hours total altogether. So that helped a lot for me personally. The other one is Advanced Tooltips Compare. Advanced Tooltips Compare, a lot of people say leave it off because it's a lot of information, you don't need it. For me, it helps me. All it does is you can click Shift, and it brings up that. And you can just compare the boots that I have in my inventory and the boots that I'm currently wearing are on the left. The boots that I have in my inventory are on the right. This works for everything, except for gems, but that's because there's, yeah. You can do that with everything. And you can also just turn it off. Just hit Shift, and it's off. So, I recommend always having the compare on. I like it. Yeah, a lot of people don't like it because it adds a bunch of numbers like the plus 15 when there's no plus 15 over here, and it doesn't. Don't look at it that way. It just makes it easier to compare a light compare of like, hey, I have this movement speed on the top one on my left side and a slow duration reduction on my right side boots. So I know that I don't have to memorize everything that's on this one and then hover over this one to see if I have the same thing and just go back and forth. I don't have to do that. I can just simply, whoops, not that. I can simply just hit Shift, and it's an easy compare with every item. And I can also just turn it off if it ever bothers you. So it's a very cool thing. I like it personally. Not a lot of people like it, but I do. So I thought I'd mention it in this list. Let's see. Number 4. Teleport portals. So for the teleport portals one, I'm actually going to bring up a video to kind of show you how this is going to work. I'm going to go to my previous live stream. See if I can find one. Sorry, one second. I'm just going through this VOD. I should have done this before I completely spaced it, though. So I'm doing it now. I don't actually know if it'll show it in this VOD. Okay, so it doesn't show me using it, but I'll bring it on screen. Oops. Bring it on screen so that you can see it. Okay, so if you'll see right here, there's 3 portals here. When you go to a town, like a castle or anything like that, is this even showing up on the screen? I don't think it is. Let's do this. Windowed, save changes. Okay, it didn't work. Windowed, save changes. There we go. Okay. This right here. Let's see if that worked. Sorry, 1 second. I'm just going through this file. I should have done this before I completely spaced it, though. Okay. It is. Nice. Okay. So, on this screen that you're looking at here, don't mind chat, let's look at this right here, okay? This is in a main city. So this is a main city that, let's see. Let me pull this back up. So this is in a main city. If you didn't know, there are... I should have put this on the list as well, but maybe I'll just put it as a 16th one. Anyway, there are waypoints around the entire map. You do have to go over them, and you do have to click on them in order to activate them on the map. Otherwise, they will just be grayed out. If they're grayed out, go to that town, activate it. Now you have a fast travel that you can fast travel you from point A to point B. Another thing is these little ones right here that look like a triangle, and then the ones that look like a castle are different. This one has all of the services that you see there. This one only has a couple. This one has 2. This one has 4. This one has 5. This one has 3. So they have a lot less than the main city ones. The main city ones have all of them. They have every single service there. And there is a couple of them. I'm not too sure on how many there are exact, but there are a couple at the top of the map, to the right of the map, to this side of the map, to the bottom of the map, to this bottom of the map. They're kind of everywhere. So look out for those. Those are the best ones. This only takes place and effect if you are in one of these cities right here, for instance. I'll fast travel over there real quick, but that's how the fast travel works. If you didn't know, probably do, because that's relatively in a lot of MMO, open map, all that stuff. So when you're playing alone, you have this right here. This, if you click on that, will take you back to where you teleported from. So in case you forget an item or something like that, you can always go back and easily fast travel back. Another thing that you can do, let me fix my screen. Another thing you can do is if you're playing with 2 other people, as you can see over here on the left side, they'll show up. It'll pop open 2 other portals that are purple, or a purplish kind of color. Depending on your colorblind settings, might be a different color, but they're a different shade than this blue color that is mine. You can click on either one of those, and each one is correlated with either edge or maybe on the left side over here. So I could click this one, and this one probably takes me to edge, and I could click this one, and this one probably takes me to maybe. So it's a cool, fast little travel thing. If somebody starts like a nightmare dungeon or a dungeon in general or a stronghold or something like that, and you forget to click the accept button up here in the left, top left, you can easily just go click on one of these portals, and it will take you straight to that person. It's a cool little fast travel thing, so you don't have to ride your horse everywhere. It's a little bit easier. Usually when you start a nightmare dungeon in the future, be prepared to have one person only travel over there while the other 2 people continue on selling their gear or gear management and all that kind of stuff, and you can just fast travel to them. It makes it a whole lot easier for your party, makes it a whole lot easier for you in general, because you don't have to wait for them to ride their horse all the way over there. They can just fast travel to you. Makes things a lot easier and a lot more sped up. Let's go back into here. Let's change this back quick. And the next one I wanted to talk about was player co-op XP. Speaking of playing with players and stuff like that, I shouldn't have closed that tab. That's okay. We have search history. Okay. The next one I wanted to talk about was down at the bottom. It doesn't show it on this one because it's glitched. So I'm actually just going to show you while I'm tabbed in here. I'll just use one. While you're in here, a little cool XP thing that you can do is if you're in a party and you're right next to them and going through a dungeon, when I make this into an actual video, I'll show you what I'm meaning. But down at the bottom left, right above your player level, there will be a little icon that will show double XP when in a party and players are close near you or something like that along those lines. That gives you more XP when playing with other people and you're going through a dungeon together and you're close and nearby. So make sure that when you're close and nearby your friends inside of your party in a nightmare dungeon or something like that, that you all enter in the boss room or you all are nearby for when somebody kills an elite, and you're all not spread across the entire dungeon trying to complete the whole thing as fast as possible, because you can maximize your XP a little bit better if you all stick next to each other. So make sure that you do that and stick next to each other. You'll get a lot more XP. It's a lot easier as well, especially in a nightmare dungeon, especially if you're doing like level 30s and up, and you're level 60, 70. So it makes it a little bit cooler to get XP, I guess. Also, if you come over here and you press C and open up your tab for your equipment, right next to it, it says consumables. Go over to the consumables, highlight over each one of these, and whatever one applies to you, in your dungeon, for instance, because each dungeon has skeletons, zombies, ghosts, and drowned, or fallen, flies, and demons, or increased max life. They all do different things, so make sure that you read over them and see which one applies to your dungeon, which one you want to do to your dungeon. This is also where you find your sigils. In case you did not know, your sigils for your nightmare dungeons are all lined up right here. They get collected in here. I would recommend, once you start getting into the 30s, that you throw away or dismantle your ones that are below 30s, and so forth and so on, all the way up to 100. There are 100. Anyway, you can just right click and it will drink it, and then down here at the bottom left, it'll tell you which one you want. However, do not click 2, because if you click another one, for instance, if I click this one, it will get rid of my previous one. Now it says evade cooldown reduced. So make sure that you only do one at a time. I'm wasting them because I don't like these two. I personally feel like these are the two worst ones, but that is just my opinion. For certain builds, it might be really good to have that. But each one of them is 30 minutes. None of them go above 30 minutes, I'm pretty sure. However, you can make them in the potion shop. So if you ever are running low and things like that, you can make them in here and doing all of that stuff. So make sure that you're doing that and, you know, upgrading that shit. Over here on the left, this is where it shows up. Heals 48 life instantly and 35% of your maximum life over 3 seconds. That's where it shows up. Mine are not. I need to do mine, but yeah, you can do your health potions and stuff like that. So anyway, next tip. Let's see, what is our next one? Oh, another thing. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I just wanted to clarify. If you notice, it says increases experience by 5% for 30 minutes. That also not only gives me evade cooldown reduced, but for every single one of these, it gives you an extra 5% XP boost. So make sure that that is also being applied at appropriate times, so you can get the max XP. Let's see, just an organization. Go do that one real quick. Go on over to my stash over here. Your stash emblems look like a little chest, and they usually have something called a wardrobe right next to them. And we'll talk about those, go over those real quick so you understand what is in each one. Let's go over the stash first. So the stash, I have mine organized in my particular in the particular way that I like it. However, you can change the symbols up here to organize your tabs a little bit better. So, you know, if you have a bunch of yellow items and you have a bunch of red items at the beginning, you can color code it. It makes it a little bit easier for icons for switching between tabs. there are only 4 tabs. So if you're starting out and you're watching this video and you see a little plus icon, that is because you do not have them bought yet. Each one of them is 100,000 more than the other. So I think for this one it's 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 coin for that. I would just buy them all the way because you get gold very quickly in this game. 400,000 really isn't that much in the end game, so I would just buy it as early as possible. That way you have all of the storage that you really want. You can kind of get the organization down to what you want specifically. You can put your sigils in here, so I have a bunch of sigils in here in case I'm playing with a lower level than me and they want to do sigils. I have some lower tier ones so that we can go and do them, and I can also craft them as well, I guess, but I just don't like getting rid of them. Yeah. Also, with the gems, you can put your gems in here. And I would recommend crafting them all over at the Gem Jeweler. You can craft them from a crude to a chipped, and then a chipped to a regular gem, and then from a regular gem to a flawless. Flawless are the best ones, and they are the final ones. You cannot go above flawless. Flawless is it. So I would recommend doing that, and then once you get up to about 40 gems for each kind, I recommend just tossing them out because it really does not matter on keeping them. They'll just clog up your inventory and it's not very fun. So I recommend just doing that. And then we're gonna talk about your wardrobe here. A lot of people get confused with their wardrobe, and I've had a lot of questions about my wardrobe and why I go through it so much. I just like the way it looks. I don't like spending so much money on cosmetics when they have free cosmetics in here that you unlock. There's a little hammer icon above an item. I thought I had one in here. Anyway, it'll say right below requires level 68. It'll say right below dismantle this. Or breakdown or something like that for cosmetic wardrobe item unlock, something like that. So when you take it over to the blacksmith and dismantle it, it will show up here and you can wear it, and that's how you unlock these. These are really cool. They're a really free and cool way that Blizzard has implemented into Diablo 4 for us to get free cosmetics with just playing the game, which is honestly really cool that they have that. I like it a lot. I am in here quite often, way too much, because I love cosmetics, and these are free, and I love that. You can make slots and things like that for your items or your armor. The slots are pretty much like your own little customized loadout for your cosmetics, which is also really cool. So I can buy another one here, purchase slot, and I can make another one and equip it just like this. So it is really cool. I highly recommend just coming in here and kind of exploring the tab. It is really awesome that they have this, and I love it. Anyway, you can also go to this tab up here that says appearance, and you can actually change everything that you did to your character in the very first moment when you were making your character. You can change all the tattoos, you can change his appearance, you can change literally everything. So that's really cool. You can change your marking colors, your markings, your jewelry, your makeup, all that. This is headstones. It doesn't really apply to people that haven't had it bought or unlocked. But pretty much what this is when you die, this is what shows up for me, because I don't have any purchased. But you can unlock 2 other ones. From the item shop that just make your death, I guess, look different. I don't have any of that bought. I don't really care about that. That's all that is. But that is your wardrobe, which is really cool. I really like that. I really like that they implemented that. All right, let's move on to the next one. We have number 9, aspects and tabs and how it works. So I just wanted to go over the aspects because the aspects for me were the most confusing part of this game. There is a lot of confusing things that are in this game when you first start out and can kind of overwhelm you unless you want to really spend the time to learn it or have somebody kind of walk you through it. But if you just want to watch a YouTube video and get the information that way, that's what this is for.
Evil. How may I help you?
Aspects, the first tab, very simple. Don't let this overwhelm you at all. Item is your item in your inventory. You just simply put your item in here, and then you can click here, and this is all of your offensive ones. And then you can go over to your fire ones. These are all of your fire aspects adding on to your physical damage and things like that. That's all this is. You can go and look up builds and stuff like that. We'll get into that later, into the tips, tricks, and all that kind of stuff. And then it'll show up here, and then you can choose to imprint it. It will use 5 out of the 16 that I have and 12 out of the 201 materials that I have. Very easy, not complicated. Don't let it overcomplicate you. Very easy. It'll make more sense when you have aspects unlocked. Aspects are legendary items or legendary, unique, sacred, all that kind of stuff. It's legendary. Legendary are red items, like this, or orange if you want to say it's orange. And they have this little orange star right by where it says lucky hit. That is the aspect right there. That is an extra stat that you get and can choose. You can also take an item, an existing item that you have in your inventory, and click on the second tab, and you can put it in here. And down here, it'll take that aspect off of this and delete this item for this aspect that you can take out and put in your aspects tab down here in your inventory. These are all the aspects I've taken off and put in my inventory. It only costs a couple 100,000, 200, 300,000 to do it. It also depends on what rank your aspect is. If you come over here, you'll see that I have white ones, gold ones, blue ones, gold ones, all that kind of stuff. The blue ones are better. They are ancestral, I guess. These orange ones are the sacred ones, and then these are just your basic legendary aspects. So it makes it kind of easy. These are more expensive to take off. If you choose to take them off, they will be a lot more expensive. They're like 400, 500,000. I think these are like anywhere from 100 to 200,000, and I think these are just either like 50 to 100,000. So that is very easy and very uncomplicated way to explain it, I guess. So if you want to take an aspect off, you don't really care about any of the other stats, you just like the aspect, you can come here, take it off, and then you can go here in this first tab, and that's what this slot is for. This slot, you can put an item like this, or you can put a legendary item, whatever you want, and you can come over to your aspects and put that in that tab, and then you can put it on that, and I can switch it out with an existing one. I can do all of that. The only one that you cannot do it with is ancestral, or sorry, unique. You cannot take a unique item. I think I have a unique item. That's why this is blacked out. You cannot take a unique item and put it in here, because it'll say that. So unique items are unique because they're unique. You can't change any of the stats. You can't change any of that kind of stuff on your unique items. So leave that alone. Right here, this is a tab for your nightmare dungeons. They go all the way up to tier 100. And you can come here and craft them with sigil powder. Sigil powder you get from actually dismantling your previous sigils. So if you are really stocked up in your sigils and stuff like that, you need to get rid of some, come over here and you can dismantle them in this tab with this little hammer guy. You can come over to your consumables and you can just click on it just like that, and it will delete it and give you some sigil powder. This last one is a really cool one. I really enjoy this one. I'm using this 24/7. You can see on this armor I already have it done. But you can put your item inside of here and simply choose. I've already done it, so let's pick one that I haven't done. Maybe do I have one? Yeah, let's do this. So it'll bring up some options here. Let's say that I don't like the slow duration reduction on these boots. So I can click this, and then for 8 of these materials and 1 of these materials, I can enchant. You will not be able to cancel or the enchanting action once the occultist has selected the replacement effects is blah 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 blah. Enchanting an item will also bind it to your account, making this untradeable. So make sure that when you do this, it's not for a friend, because you cannot give it to your friend. So make sure that you are just doing this for you. You cannot do it for your friend. your friend is going to have to do it for themselves, unfortunately. So once you do this, it makes it untradeable. You can't give it to anybody. Once you place it on the ground, they cannot see it. You can only see it. So make sure that when you're doing this, it's just for you. Make sure that you click one stat that you really don't want to have more than any of the others, because you can only do it for one stat. Once you have done it, it looks like this when you put it back in there. And you can click enchant, and you can actually get the option to switch it again. If you want to, and it'll give you two options once you click on it of what ones you want to choose from. So let's say, for instance, these boots, I want to change the shadow resistance on them, because for my build I don't need shadow resistance. You enchant this, press accept, and it'll bring you here, and it'll say 2 ranks of dash, 4% energy cost, or no change. You can choose to no change it. Materials won't be refunded, however. Your materials are gone once you've gotten to this point. Let's say I want this. I hit replace, and then boom, it's done. Now it looks like this. And if I still don't like that, I can choose to enchant it, and I get the same stat, no change. I'd rather stay with the no change. And then you can put it right back in your inventory. And that is your aspects tabs. That is everything that you need to know. It's not very complicated. Don't let it overcomplicate you. This tab is very useful. Kind of go through the ones that you want. Pick the ones that you want. You can organize it by these tabs up here, which makes it a lot easier than just trying to find your fucking symbol and all of this mess. So if you're using a shield item, a defensive item, go to the shield. If you're using an offensive, go to this. If you're using a fire aspect, go to there. If you're using a trap, go there. If you're using, what is this? I don't even know what this is. If you're using the wing one, go to there. So it makes it pretty easy. And that is your aspects. Don't let it overcomplicate you. If you need to, look up an aspect guide. They're very easy. Don't let it overcomplicate. Let's see. Horse tips and tricks. With the horse, you can press Z down at the bottom, and you can use your horse. However, in town, you will not be able to use the space button down here because you're in town. I don't know why it says not yet learned, but you're in town. But once you go out of town, it will pop up down at the bottom. And then you have 3 of them to use. What I recommend doing is just using one at a time. And then once your horse slows down, use it again. And then once your horse slows down, use it again. You'll never run out because you have 3 of them. You don't go that fast. You can hit all 3 of them at the same time to get a huge boost, but really, now I have to wait 30 seconds in order to get all of them back. And it's not very worth it. I don't like it. So I just recommend using 1 or 2. Also, if you come up on enemies, and let's say there's like a barricade or something, and I want to use my horse as efficiently as possible, I can go up there, press 1, and I do this. And it shoots a bunch of arrows in a direction at the enemies, and it's very fun and cool. And then you can instantly use your horse again. You can also just get off of your horse by right-clicking. Makes it easy as well. You don't have to click Z again. I just clicked right-click. There is a 5-second timer for when you get off of your horse, and then I think it's a 30-second timer when you get knocked off your horse. When you do get knocked off your horse, it's because you take too much damage, sustain too much damage while you're riding your horse, and it kicks you off, and then it takes 30 seconds for you to get back onto your horse and mount again. Also, when you're on your horse, make sure that your cursor is as far away from your horse as possible, because that is max speed. If you bring it closer, it slows down your horse. So if you're ever going around corners and stuff, make sure that your mouse is over here, your cursor, that your horse is following. Make sure that it's over here, because it'll just help. Also, clicking helps as well. But when it comes close to the little circle on the ground, it will slow down. So make sure that you're holding down.
I can't do that here.
Very strategic tooltip there. So if you're ever randomly slowing down, it's probably because your cursor is too close to your horse. So you just need to back up your cursor a little bit. And that's that. Next one. 11. There is an interactive map. The interactive map is actually really cool and very useful. There'll be a link down in the description of the video. But for now, I'll just show you. Okay, let's go here. Windowed. Changes. Okay, this is your interactive map. Okay, with the interactive map, it's really cool for Lilith statues. You can see how many Lilith statues I've actually done and strongholds I've done. You can right-click them to turn them off and on. You can also see the Helltide events. It says up here in the top left, there's one that starts in 5 minutes. You can click all of these things. You can click show all, hide all. You can click which ones you want to show on the map and where to go for them. It will show you everything in the entire game on this map. And it's all interactive. You can move it around, you can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can do all of that fun stuff with this map. This map is really cool. I highly recommend using it, especially early game on, and just have your Lilith statues, you know, done. And when you're done with a dungeon, quickly check. Maybe there's one right around the corner that you can do, especially when you're at this dungeon and there's one right around the corner that you could do. Go do it. They give you like 5 plus 5 strength plus 5 dexterity plus 5 whatever the stat is for it. When you collect it, it'll give you plus 5 of it. It's a nice little boost for when you're done and you're trying to min-max your character later on. And you already have half of it done because you had the interact map open while you were playing it early game. So this is a really fun, cool map to use. I highly recommend using it. Especially when you're trying to search for all of the statues at the end game because you realize, oh, those are actually important and not just Easter eggs. Yes, they are important. They do min-max you, and once you have all of them, they give you a huge boost in power. Very, very useful little tip there. Let's put that back up there. Okay. Our next one. Let's go into the next one. d4builds.gg. d4builds.gg looks like this. Okay. It's very simple on how this works. Let's full screen it here. This is d4builds.gg. You can go to it. The link will be in the description as well. Make sure that you click on meta builds and you find one build that you want. It has it all listed out right here with all the skills that you should be using. It's very easy to use mid-game, level 1 to 50. It has builds for it in case you want to be the strongest that you can and you're curious on where you are. 50 to 75 is where I recommend actually using this and actually trying to create your builds. And then end game is going to be very similar to 50 to 75. It's all just mid-maxing from here on out once you get to this stage. But for instance, I'm a rogue build. I love twisting blades, so that's the build I'm currently using. I love it. It's just easy, especially for soloing bosses. Up here, it'll show you the aspects that you'll need to use. Right here, it'll show the glyphs that you need to use for your Paragon sheets. Down here, it will show you every single stat that you need for every single one of your armor. And then if you scroll down just a little bit more, it'll have some notes. It does lack defense. And then you can click view full build, and then it'll go into more depth about it and show you what aspect goes on what helmet. Right here, it'll show you what gems to use on your weapons. It'll show you what gems to use on your armor. It'll show what gems to use on your jewelry as well. And it'll show you your skills down here. And it'll show you your specializations and everything like that. And then if you come over here, you can click skill tree and it'll show you your entire skill tree, and you can go through and make sure that you're clicking on the right ones that you want for yours. And it'll also make your Paragon sheet 1,000 times more simple by just following it on your build. And it also shows your strength numbers, your dexterity numbers, and your intelligence numbers and willpower numbers up here as well. You can go in depth on the stats here. I don't really use this a whole lot, but it shows all the stats and shows you which ones to kind of take over other ones. and then the notes tab too. There'll be some notes. I would check this. If your build is getting worse or whatever, I would check your notes and see if they've put anything in there in case there was a patch or something that you didn't see. So this is a very useful page. You can click for Barbarian, Druid, Necromancer, Rogue, and Sorcerer, and you can really find any build in the entire game that has ever been out on this piece of, on this website. So it's very useful. I recommend using it. You can also use, sorry, excuse me. You could also use Mobilytics. Mobilytics is the same thing as this. This is just a web browser page for it. Mobilytics also has builds that are specific for Diablo, like Twitch players and like streamers, and all of their builds are on Mobilytics. So go to Mobilytics if you like that better. I like this because it's just a browser and I can quickly click on it. So you can choose or pick which one you want there. And that is D4 builds. I highly recommend using it. It's very easy, makes the game a lot easier, so you can have a lot more fun and not really read so much. This kind of just walks you through on what you should be doing step by step and what you should have step by step. So it makes it a lot easier. I recommend using it. Anyway, let's go on to the next one. The next one is buttons that make life way easier in this game that Diablo just doesn't really tell you about. They're kind of hidden, and they're cool to learn and makes your life a whole lot easier. When I first started playing, I was so confused. So the first one that I wanted to talk about is when you click M and bring up your map, you can click W, and this will bring up your renown. Sorry, and you can click accept and gather your rewards for that. But you can also check your progress in each section of the map, and how you're doing on each section of the map, and it also shows you your waypoints, strongholds, side quests, all of that jazz. So yeah, W is how you get there. Another cool one is to open your journal down here at the bottom. It'll say it is Q. You can click Q and bring open your side quests, your main quests, your priority quests. All of your quests are over here in your journal, and you can click them between them as you want to. So Q is how you do that, and also spacebar. If you've lost your cursor, click space. It'll center your cursor. So I can go down here, space. There I am. So that's very useful. Also, if you're a barbarian, for instance, and you want to switch your weapons onto a different ability, click S. S will bring up your abilities, and then you can, down over at the bottom left, you can see assign skill, view on skill tree. You can select which ones you actually want to have on your stuff, and it will show available. You can click this, make it a lot more simplified. But S is how you do that from here. If you're a barbarian or whatever, sorcerer or necromancer, and you want to switch your shit, this is how you do it. Also, the other one is A. A brings up your skill tree and your Paragon sheet. You can quickly click A. It'll also mention it down here at the bottom left, but it's kind of hard to see. So if you want to just get here quickly without going to C and then clicking on the tab up here. Oh, what the? And clicking on the tab up here, you can click A to close it and open it, and then go between the skill tree or Paragon. Anyway, C is also how you open up your character. Okay, last one is Y. Not a lot of people know about this, but Y brings up your collections. Y is very useful because you can not only see your challenges in a different way, but you can also see your Codex of Power. Your Codex of Power are your aspects, the aspects you get from dungeons and doing all that kind of stuff. This is a really cool one because you can actually go between each one of these tabs and see which ones you don't have instead of going through all of them and trying to go between every single one and taking forever. You can just click on defense, quickly find the one that you want, or offense, not so quickly, but kind of quickly. Resource, utility, mobility, all that kind of stuff. You can go between all of them right here in your Codex of Power, and it makes your life a whole lot easier about knowing that little simple button instead of trying to find it for years and years and years. Anyway, the next one, second to last tip that I wanted to talk about was the vendor. If you go over to this guy right here with the question mark symbol on a bag, they're in most towns, but every single fortress town they are in. You can go up to them, click them, and then they have certain items that you can buy over here. And the reason why this one's highlighted and this one's not highlighted is because this is just a regular dagger. This one is a sacred item bow. For instance, I have 107, so I'll go to my gloves, right? And I can right click, and then I can't click anymore. But it gave me 3 random items in my inventory right here that you can see over on the right. And these are really good for just getting random items. I got lucky right there and got 2 legendary items, and one of them happened to be a sacred, which isn't bad. But if you're looking for aspects, for a cheap aspect, to put on one of your items, and you want to get a better one, if you want to get a better one on a piece of armor than what you can get from like your Codex of Power, you can get more powerful ones from doing what I just did right there, and transfer them and do that. You can also just sell them and it's free money. You can also just break them down and it's free materials. So there is that. Also, the other thing I wanted to talk about, the reason why this has a slash on it.
Look.
This is going to be the last tip. The reason why this has a slash on it is because you can press spacebar and mark it as junk. So let's say I don't want this pant, I don't want this pants, and I don't want those gloves, right? Okay, so now I can go over here to the market over here.
My bags are full.
Where's he? Oh. I can click on this guy and I can right click to sell, and it will sell all of them all at once. Makes your life a whole lot easier. Please do this. I found this out a couple days ago. Changed my life forever. So do that. Also, if you have this little hammer, I was mentioned this earlier, you can come here and you can choose to destroy it. So I got a really low variable on my aspect that I needed, so I don't have a problem with destroying this. But you can destroy this, and now I've unlocked it and can view it in my wardrobe, and I can wear those gloves. Kind of cool. Also, if you destroy legendary stuff, they give you different materials than normal ones. I don't really want this one, so I can destroy this, and it'll give me this legendary item down here. It's different for gloves, rings, and weapons, by the way, and single-handed weapons and stuff like that. They all give you a certain rare crafting material that you need for aspecting or de-aspecting or changing or enchanting one of your items. So that is how you get these legendary materials, in case you did not know. Now you know.
Return soon.
But you can press spacebar to mark them as junk. You can also easily upgrade your items here in the forge as well by just pressing right click. I can just right click and it will transfer my item in here, and then right click to have it out. You can do this with any item in the game. If you have a slot over here where it can go, it will find its way over there for you, and then you can choose to upgrade it or not right there. So little cool fancy tricks, tips, some easy stuff that is just kind of basic information that I wanted to let everybody know. There's a lot more tips and stuff for this game that you can go more in depth on, and I might do a more complicated one for like level 50 to through 75 users that I've learned recently, with like how to do dungeons and doing dungeons efficiently and maximizing your XP while you're inside of a dungeon. But I'll probably wait for a while. I just wanted to make this video because I was bored, mainly. And I haven't seen anybody talk about the W, Q, and S, Y, A, and C keys. and what they actually do, and bringing them up and using them and making it easier for you. I haven't seen anybody bring that tip up ever. So anyway, cool little tips right there, to help make your life easier. Hopefully I explained it well. Hopefully that was understandable, I guess. I don't really know if it was, but that is my tips for today. So I'll probably just leave this in the VOD, and then I'll do a few more, and then I'll probably just make a really big video about it. But those were my 16 tips for Diablo 4 for beginners, when you're first starting out. Tips that I wish that I knew when I first started out and had to learn and took hours of learning. If you are watching this video and you already know this stuff and you have to comment and say that I was wrong on some of these tips, go fuck yourself, please. Anyway, thanks for watching. Peace.